So, guys, we are getting massive momentum building for the midterms. And this is it's interesting to find it now. We got to pay attention now because we're early. But if you notice these things early, this is the beginning of a swell. And a swell, if you know, like that's when it pulls in, the tide pulls in and the wave builds. And we're headed for a build where this wave is going to knock back any semblance of a blue wave. SCOTUS changed everything yesterday, and the momentum is building as a result in many other ways. But that was like a shot in the arm for Trump and MAGA. But today, the Justice Department, Harmeet Dillon, came out and said it's going to enforce SCOTUS's ruling in every state with racially gerrymandered districts. Do you understand what that means? So right now, the states were determining whether or not they wanted to move. And you know, a lot of those states, even though they're Republican, they're run by rhinos. And they don't necessarily care if we win the midterms. Excuse me. So they're not going to go out of their way to do it. They're not going to go out of their way to redistrict and get these seats for the Republicans. They'll do it next year. Don't get me wrong. They'll do it before 2028, or else their people would revolt. But they can use the excuse that, oh, we've had primaries already and yada, yada, yada. And some of it's legitimate. Some of them are pretty far down the road in their elections. However, there's plenty that can still do it. And so this is huge because this means the Justice Department is going to use the power of the federal government to go to these states and say, listen, SCOTUS just broke this down. You have to redistrict. You have to fix this. That's big difference than Trump calling them and asking nicely. So this is going to put pressure on the Republican states. And with this pressure, hopefully we can squeeze out the full 10 to 12. Well, I think it's about 19 total we can pull out, but some of those are gone for this cycle. But we could get 10 to 14 in this cycle. So push, and this is going to help that. Well, already some states have been responding. Trump has come out and said Tennessee is going to be again redistricting immediately, getting to all 9 House seats in the state. And you know what? After what they pulled in Virginia, what they pulled in California, I don't care. If you're a Democrat living in Tennessee, too bad. Maybe you should move because I don't care. This is war. This is ideological political warfare, and we don't care about entertaining the left anymore. See, you know, I used to be the nice guy, the tolerant guy who is like, oh, you know, there's enough room for everybody's views. We'll just keep debating them in the public square. No. Then you guys turned communist, insane, wanted to mutilate children, wanted to do abortion up to the minute the child was born. And in Virginia and other places, some of them even after the baby was born. This is once you went full Looney Tunes psychopath, it became war, and there is no unifying with the left anymore. There's no tolerating them. It is we win, and we knock them down. We do everything. We play the same game they've been playing for 50 years. Now it's our turn, and this is how we need to do it. So get an extra seat there. And he says, help save our country from the radical left Democrats, their country destroying policies, high tax, open borders, transgender mutilation, defunding police, ICE, border patrol, no voter ID, soft on crime, and so much more. Abso-freaking-lutely. And then another one, Alabama, moving to get the new congressional map drawn. Districts clearly racially drawn. SCOTUS should step in and let all states. So there is like they're petitioning this SCOTUS right now to let them do it quickly, but that's all they're doing. Everybody, they have permission to redraw, but they got these weird districts. They could go full red as well, so they're already planning on it. And here's a great breakdown. Ned Ryan says, I think eventually Louisiana versus Calais could result in 19 seats for the GOP, but probably more like 6 in the short term. That's only because they're not motivated enough. However, this was, I believe, before the DOJ came out and said they're going to enforce this. So up to 19 seats. But think about what happened in Florida yesterday. +4 for GOP. The illegal and unconstitutional referendum in Virginia looks to be backfiring so much. I think we'll end up with old map and VA7, VA10 very much in play for GOP. People on the ground here are pissed. That's exactly what I want to hear. Smack it down. That's all to say the GOP has more than just a fighting chance of keeping the majority this fall. So we're getting real analysts now saying that this has completely changed things for the GOP. It's beautiful. And again, just like I said in my rant last night, you know what? Rhinos suck, okay? But they're still better than Democrats. So we're voting GOP. Now, this is crazy because, and I've covered this before, but it's been a while. So a good reminder how much the Democrats cheat. The U.S. Census admits that it stole 7 U.S. House seats from Republicans. Funny they never make those mistakes in liberal states. When Democrats lose despite cheating, they quintuple down and try to cheat even harder. That's true. This is from the Heritage Foundation. You may have missed it. A recent Census Bureau report revealed the Bureau made significant errors in the most recent census, overcounting the population of 8 states and undercounting the population of 6 states. Want to guess? All those 6 states red, all those 8 states overcounted blue. As a result, citizens in undercounted states like Florida didn't receive all the congressional representation to which they're entitled. You know what also we lost? Because that's not just congressional representation, that's also electoral college votes. In other words, Trump should have won by 7 more House seats or by 7 more points in 2024. That would have given him what do you win with? 312? That would have given him 319. And that's before the next census where all these people are moving. So in the next census, guys, not only are we going to get these back, we're also going to add another 10 or 11 plus the 19 from the Voting Rights Act. So we're looking at a possibility of 30 to 37 seats moved over to the GOP, to MAGA by 2030. How? And we already have won the House. So guys, listen, how do the Democrats have a future if they don't change significantly? They don't. That's the truth. They don't. This Democratic Party as it is has to die. And that either means the moderates in the party completely retake it over, or the party itself dies and a third party rises and take its place. We are at that point. Generationally, this is a generational shift. And yeah, they could still squeak out the midterms because not all these advantages are in place yet for us. We're still playing catch up, fixing their cheating. But it's going to keep happening. And if I've told you guys a million times what I think about this midterms, but I'll say this. If we win this midterms, it's over for them for a very long time. If we lose this midterms and then we still win 2028, which we should, which we have the huge advantage in 2028, we win 2028, it's still over for them for a very long time. And this is why I continue to say I believe that from 2028 forward, we will still control the country. And I actually mean the country. I mean presidency, Senate, and House, which also means Supreme Court will get more and more conservative. We control the country for 12 to 20 years because this is the kind of generational shift that doesn't come along very much. The Democrats once held the House for 40 years straight. That's what we're looking at for MAGA. So there will be no black pilling here, my friends. Now, this is the kind of thing that drives the liberals nuts. Let's listen to my favorite New York Jew, Harry. Harry, tell me something good. Here's Harry Enton breaking down some not great trends for the Democrats.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now in the numbers is President Trump and the Republican Party are chipping away at the long-term advantage that Democrats have had with black voters, with African Americans. You can see it right here. Look, Trump's approval among African Americans at this point in term one, he was at 12%. You know, he's been losing ground with a lot of people. He's gaining.
Wait a second. I was told that he's lost every voter he could possibly lose. He's more unpopular than ever, but black voters like him more still? That's not supposed to happen. Not for any Republican, let alone Trump. He's racist.
Gaining ground with African Americans. He's up to 16% at this point. And you say, this isn't that big of a shift. But I will tell you, Republicans absolutely love this shift that's going on because Democrats have had such a long-term advantage. The fact that he's actually gaining ground versus where he was in term number one, this has major implications for elections down the line because Democrats, especially in a lot of these tight races, you talk about places like Georgia, right down in the South, you see this type of movement for Trump actually gaining ground. This could have major ramifications and help put Republicans over the top in a number of southern places in the midterm elections.
Yeah, you think so, Harry? Especially now that they can't gerrymander them like crazy just based on race, just based on the liberal side. I mean, because look at that's still 84% of black people are Democrat or voting Democrat or hate Trump, you know, but 16% for a Republican. I know that's crazy, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Lyndon B. Johnson was right when they passed the Civil Rights Act in 1963, and he said we just secured the black vote for 100 years. Well, we're at 60 years and they haven't lost it yet. So, you know, but at the same time, inroads matter. Trends matter. I tell you guys all the time, polls lie. One poll can be a liar. One poll doesn't tell you much, but trends don't lie. And polling matters. The reason I show the polls is for the trends. Trends matter. And this is a trend that has continued non-stop ever since Trump came along. So look at this. This is a great post. Everything you're watching, divide the right strategy and progress. Thank you to the influencers, the FAGA friends. Suspiciously synchronized blackpilling. Yeah, you think? I feel like I'm one of the only ones out there trying to beat this back, but I'm doing what I can. Is to defray the likely irreparable damage done to the Democratic Party itself. And this, my friends, is a kind of thing that you show this to a Democrat, their head might explode like the KKK guy in the old Dave Chappelle skit. ICE is more popular than Democrats from an NBC poll. Friends, that my friends is a major problem for them. What does that also tell us? That all that ICE hate, all that radicalism, it's coming from a very small portion of that party. Because the rest of them, the Democrats, if you meet most like moderate Democrats, man, they're just like, they're tired. They're like throwing in the towel. They just given up. But that crazy base, they don't let anything go. But this tells you all you need to know, that after all of that, they're still less popular than ICE. That's crazy. We're purging. We are purging the rhinos. I told you guys last night that we will fix our own party. So we don't become accelerationists. We don't go Nick Fuentes. We don't pull the Owen Schroyer nonsense. Even Tucker Carlson now. We don't play that game because once Democrats get in power again, we're screwed. We don't let that happen. There is no uprising because they won't allow it to happen. If you vote in a communist, if you vote in a dictator, you're going to be screwed for a very long time. So we deal with the rhinos and we kill them off in primaries. That's how we do it, and that's how we need to keep doing it. Primaries matter, and I know they suck because they're hard to remember to go to, and nobody wants to go take off a Tuesday morning and spend 2 hours waiting to vote in a primary. That's why only the rhinos we go to the primaries, and thank God they're doing it in Louisiana. Bill Cassidy is currently third, and this POS just got Casey Means kicked out for being from being Surgeon General. She would have been great. She was awesome. Maha movement. He's the reason she's not going to make it through, and Trump had to nominate a new person. But he's going to be gone soon, thanks to primaries. So we got to keep showing up. But having said that, let's go back for 1 second. Having said that, if Bill Cassidy made it through the primary in Louisiana, you still got to go vote for him over the Democrat, because the Democrats are so much worse. And Bill Cassidy is awful. He sucks. Lindsey Graham sucks. I could go through and name 50 Republicans that I cannot stand, that are absolutely awful. John Thune. But you know what? They're better than the Democrats. As bad as they are, you don't go in, you never go accelerationist. You just don't do it. It's for retards. That's how you get communism. Fetterman, the only sane Democrat left, is calling out his own party for being absolutely retarded over this shutdown. DHS employees unpaid. 1,000 TSA agents quit. 0 ICE reforms. Nation left safe. Check. As the only Democrat who wanted common sense ICE reforms but always refused to shut the agency down, this was unnecessary, a failure of Congress. They just shut down the government and got nothing out of it, because today it went through and was passed, and Democrats got nothing out of that shutdown except for almost getting the president shot, which, they love that. Things are getting so good for Republicans that even the fraudster pollster himself, which he did do really great polls for 2024, I'll give him credit, but he's gone insane in the last 6 months, shown his true colors as a total grifter. However, things have gotten so good, the momentum is building up so much that even Rich Barris is showing signs of hope. Look at this. Now, get the citizenship question on the next U.S. Census. That will definitely be done. Trump will make sure of it. Pass the SAVE Act, not up to Trump, but we're going to try. And he's going to try every bit of pressure he can. And Democrats are fooked. They cannot win without gerrymandering and counting illegal aliens. They'd lose the House and presidency for years, despite presidents largely being frauds. Guys, if Rich Barris is saying exactly what I've been telling you, and I'm the most white-pilled of them all, but Rich Barris is telling you that, despite all the dooming and blackpilling he's been doing for months now, if Barris is saying that, you better believe it's true. Because he's got to keep the grift going, and if he's wrong on this, he'll never survive. He'll never come back. Nobody will ever trust him again. They do this. The Republicans do what they need to do. And honestly, the SAVE Act will guarantee it. But even without the SAVE Act, it's an 80% chance. That's how much is being changed even without the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, what Trump is doing is he's making the degree of difficulty of cheating, he's increasing it. And it's getting harder and harder and harder, and the Supreme Court's helping with that, especially if they shut down the mail-in ballots thing. But the SAVE Act takes it up to 97% difficult to cheat. We need the SAVE Act. We want the SAVE Act. At some point, it will be passed. I don't know when. Probably not before the midterms, the way it's going. But Trump's already said they have alternative options, and I think they're going to send ICE agents to the polls if it's not passed, which that'll be interesting. But again, even Barris is saying they lose the House and presidency for years, despite the Republicans being frauds, the rhinos. Even Rich Barris sees it. Trump is getting pissed, and this is the pressure we're talking about. I believe after we win the Iran war, which we're going to talk about here in the next segment, but after we win the Iran war and Trump is flying high with approval as the economy improves and gas prices plummet, that approval is going to be soaring up. His power is going to come back with the people, and this pressure will all of a sudden matter a lot more. The the Senate Republicans right now believe they're going to lose the House, and they're okay with it because they're mostly rhinos. The rhinos are okay with it, not every senator, but there's still more rhinos than not, and they're okay with it because to them, it means they can start waiting out Trump. That's what their hope is, and that's why they're not passing the SAVE Act. It's not just John Thune, even though he is in charge of it, but he's in charge of getting it to a vote. But because a lot of the senators will still, if they actually have to vote, that's when the most pressure comes on, because then we all track their votes. But as long as it doesn't come to the floor for a vote, they can hide in the shadows and they can say, of course I support it, even though they might not. They're not doing anything to get it going. They want that. But here's Trump calling, how much abuse can the Republican Senate take from the radical left lunatics in the form of Democrat senators before they blow up, terminate the filibuster, and approve things at a record clip, including Save America Act? That would be unthinkable without the filibuster termination. Dems will do it on the first hour, the first day. Do not be stupid. Right now, they're holding this off. They're ignoring these tweets as long as they can. But I'm telling you, Trump starts gaining momentum again over the summer because of the economy. If Iran's done, they're going to have to start listening to this again. All right, and talking about that momentum, look at this. Today, job claims came in very low, and listen to what they said on CNBC.
Initial jobless claims hitting the wires at 189,000. 189,000. Wow, that is truly incredible. We're looking at levels truly that we probably haven't seen since the late 60s. This is very, very incredible.
1969 to be exact. Jobless claims, folks. That's people applying for unemployment. Lowest since 1969. I get it. Things are still expensive. You don't have to tell me. Don't blow up my chat about it. That's being worked on. That takes time. It took Reagan from passing his regulations and tax cuts. It took him 18 to 24 months before that economy really turned around. Things take time. Trump's policies are in place. Now we're seeing them play out. But that is massive. And it means when we get these job numbers coming in, that growth is a little lower. You know why that is? It's the illegals leaving. They're going bye-bye. Illegals don't get unemployment. They don't file for jobless claims. What this says is Americans are staying employed at records not seen since the 1960s. Guys, that's what we call an indicator, and that is a very strong indicator that the economy is improving. So just hold on. It's getting better. Trump came out, said he wants to end student loans for junk degrees. These are the kind of policies, common sense, that people love. I'm telling you, he's getting the momentum back. The mojo's back, baby. Return of the Mac. Taxpayers spend at least $60 billion a year on the 57% of degrees that lose money. With AI coming, young people can't coast on zero-skill sheepskin. If Trump can pull this off in the Department of Education, massive. Oh, you want a liberal arts degree? We're not paying for that. Not only is it smart for our country, but it's also smart for that student because it's going to prevent them from going into hundreds of thousands of debt for a retarded, I'll say it again, all caps, a retarded degree. And there's a whole lot of those retarded degrees that make no sense. There's no reason to get them. They don't get you a good job. But, you know, when you're 18 and sign a loan and the government backs it up, these kids all think like, we'll just do whatever we want. Yeah, let's end that. This is kind of common sense that's getting us there. Trump today, another thing he did, this is huge. National Foster Care Month. This is big. I want to listen to this real quick.
Sir, this is another proclamation. Your administration, particularly the First Lady, have made foster and adoptive care major priorities. This is a proclamation declaring National Foster Care Month, honoring those who have participated in foster programs, who have helped raise foster children,
Right.
and speaking about the many things that your administration, including the First Lady's office, have done on that set of issues.
Yeah, it's been a big thing for the First Lady, so this is in honor of our First Lady. Well said.
So the Trump administration is pushing adoption, foster care. It is pro-family. It's trying to rebuild these policies. Again, this is the kind of thing people see and they love. This is momentum. But the next one is even bigger. Look at this. Today, he signed an executive order boosting access to high-quality, low-cost IRAs and offering up to $1,000 in federal matching contributions to strengthen retirement security for Americans. Guys, he's opening up matching for IRAs for Americans that don't have retirement accounts with their work. That, my friends, is MAGA. That's America first. And Trump continues to come up with these brilliant ideas for the government partners with you in building for your future. The Trump accounts for the kids, now the IRAs for retirement. This is going to be, once everybody gets a hold of this and figures this out, I believe there will become a time when that 7% or whatever that's taken out of your check to go to Social Security can start going into these and accumulate at a much bigger rate and leave you with a much better retirement while also not bankrupting our country. Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme that's ever been forced upon this country, except for the only other thing that's bigger Ponzi scheme is all the fraud from the welfare system that we're finding out about. But Social Security is a total Ponzi scheme. And it's breaking us. Eventually it will. It's right now it's due to go insolvent in the early 2030s. I'm certainly not going to see Social Security. This is how you replace it without having to do the huge political battle and without taking away from the people who are vested in right now. This is brilliant, and what we got to do is show the results over a few years. It starts building momentum, and then people will want to do it. And then you can announce the end of the payroll tax, but probably an opt-in to put it into these. That's what this opens up, and this could be huge. This could be absolutely huge. And let's listen to Trump as he breaks it down here.
Beginning at the start of next year, every American will be able to go to TrumpIRA.gov and open a new low-cost IRA account. You'll then be able to access the same type of retirement accounts that federal employees enjoy through the thrift savings plans, which are incredible. As part of the Federal Savers Match Program, low-income Americans will be eligible to receive up to $1,000 per year in matching funds deposited directly into their accounts. It's a great thing. For millions of Americans who lack employer-sponsored plans, this will be really revolutionary because they'll be covered. Nobody thought that was possible. For example, if a 25-year-old who is eligible for a Savers Match Program invests just $165 a month under the matching federal contributions, they will have an estimated $465,000 in their account by the time they're 65 years old. In other words, they'll be rich. And there's something awfully nice about that. But this is only the first step.
Did you hear that? So the math, if you only did $165 a month from the point you're 25, which a lot of 25-year-olds, you could do, even they could do $165 a month. That could turn into 480. Like, and I say you can't really retire on 480 grand. Don't get me wrong, but nobody's going to continue. If you care about this, I should say, by the time you're 30, 35, 40, and actually have a real career, you can put in a lot more than 165 a month and accelerate that. But the point is, it gives them something when they have nothing right now. So pretty great stuff. And that Trump's opening this up to the public because this was just the government plan before. So this is the kind of policies, though, that we want to see. It's clever, it's outside the box thinking, and it's all built on the fact of building generational wealth down the line. Trump is trying to make Americans think about the future and not just rely on the government anymore. putting the government in position to actually help Americans in a way that's not going to bankrupt our country and also not going to create entitlement culture. It's kind of the perfect medium between the two. And I got to say, the old school conservative in me would have hated this. That was more libertarian. The new MAGA conservative that has grown and just realized, like, you know what? The government's already big. We might as well use it and just be smarter about it. I'm fine with this. I think this is brilliant. And it is the kind of thing that wins elections. So well done. You can feel the momentum coming back. But again, just remember, looking forward, I mean, we are headed into really good times because the Democrats are struggling, and Trump's only going to keep building the coalition with this. We hit 2028. Again, the midterms matter, so show up, vote, let's win them. But 2028 matters more than anything. We win 2028, and they're done. They're done for 20 years, and it's because of this man and his solutions. And these policies are just going to get more and more popular, especially once Iran's over. So, and people will pay more attention.